everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Trailblazers Rising. I'm so excited to bring to you my new friend and mutual from social media, Emily Flood. And check it out, clean out your ears, get ready for what I'm about to tell you, who she is and what she does. She is the fitness witch. So, Emily, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Melanie, for inviting me onto your podcast. And yes, I am a fitness witch. So I blend fitness coaching with magical life coaching, integrating witchcraft and everything with my clients.
Oh my God, I love it. You're my new favorite person. All my other favorite people have been dethroned. So, the fitness witch, I will tell you, you're dealing with an eclectic witch here. And witch, in my book, has always been a positive term, a term of endearment, not anything that conjures up the old idea of, a bent over old lady with like a wart on her nose and that sort of stuff. So, if you're listening and that is the mental image you get in your head when we say witch, you can probably just tune out now. All right. So, first question that I ask every single person that comes on the podcast is, what sparked your entrepreneurial fire, right? So was there a moment in time where you were just, all right, is it here? Can you see me now? So what sparked your entrepreneurial flame? What was the moment in time where you were like, fuck no, I can't do this anymore. I got to do my own thing.
So I actually started fitness coaching in early 2020 because I was competing in bodybuilding. And so my Instagram account was growing and people had started to reach out to me about coaching. And so I started coaching just one or two people. But it wasn't until, because during COVID, all the teachers were off. I was a high school French teacher, actually, by the way. And it was kind of towards the end of the summer where I was like, I cannot imagine going back to teaching again, because if there's any teachers listening, it is one of the most exhausting, thankless careers ever. You are working long hours. You're expected to work and grade when you go home. There is no work-life balance. And it was actually during that summer that I hired my first business coach. And it wasn't until I hired that business coach that I even thought it was in the realm of possibility for me to quit my teaching day job, because my entire family is teachers and they have been teaching their entire lives. So for me, it felt like I was going to be a teacher my whole life too. And when I hired that business coach, she was like, "Oh, I think you could quit within a month." I was like, "Excuse me? Is that possible?" And then sure enough, a month later, I gave my school a 6-week notice because people pleaser, felt kind of guilty leaving someone in Texas without a French teacher. But it was kind of at that moment where I was like, I really cannot do an entire year of teaching again.
Absolutely not. As a person with teenage sons, I don't know how teachers do it. I don't know how anybody in the education system that we have here in the US does it. It really is very challenging. And when it comes to being a fitness coach, especially around that time, I can only imagine the amount of dysregulation you've seen in like dysregulated nervous systems, people coming to you. I used to be very close friends with a trainer at my old gym. And I remember her telling me she had a personal training client, a young girl, probably in her 20s. Her husband was in the military and she wasn't really getting any results. And she had come in for one of her training sessions and gone like, "Oh man, I had so many beers last night." And the trainer was like, What? Huh? And essentially, the girl didn't realize that drinking had calories.
Yeah, and you get a lot of confusion around that. It's interesting. And I do think that since I started fitness coaching during COVID, essentially, I was only online. I'm only an online coach. But what I was having to deal with a lot with my clients was emotional regulation and easing their stress and easing their anxiety, which is what took me more into the mindset side of things and developing my emotional regulation and life coaching skills and adding in this witchcraft specifically for emotional regulation with my fitness clients.
Yeah. So let's get right into the witchcraft because I'm so excited to have a fellow witch on here. Holy shit. So I am a big proponent in candle magic. And at the Neurospicy Academy, we like to call it, for my woo adjacent folks, we call it tactile intention setting or tactile goal setting. So when it comes to practicing magic, any sort of witchcraft, that sort of thing in your life, what is your favorite modality?
I love this because, when you start thinking that maybe you are a witch and you start researching everything, what I really was pulled to was Celtic shamanism, because I am Irish. And so it felt very good for me to kind of get back to my Irish roots. And I loved that with shamanism, you didn't have to join a coven. You could just meditate and do these things on your own. And so with shamanism, your main practice is going on shamanic journeys, which are essentially just extended visualization meditation where you go to meet your guides and go to get knowledge and learn from yourself. And so this is one of the main things that I do with my fitness clients, because I find that so many women, when they are coming into a diet program or a fitness program, they feel like they can't trust themselves and they can't trust their bodies because they've been trying to control and fight with their bodies the whole time. And so I have lots of clients who aren't witches at all and probably would be like, I don't know about this. But we do visualization meditations and we do these shamanic journeys together as well. I guide them to meet their power animal and everything. And the ones who aren't already witches, their minds are completely blown when they get their power animal and they see what it signifies for them. And then a lot of the time we'll go to the upper world, maybe not to meet a guide specifically, but to see their future self. And their future self will give them very specific advice for their fitness journey. And maybe it was something that I could have already told them as their coach, but it's so much more powerful when they hear it for themselves, because then they're more
Yeah.
likely to take action instead of, me telling them you need to rest more and sleep more, and they're going to be like, oh, well, you don't understand, Emily. But then if they hear it from them for themselves from a meditation and something magical, then it impacts them on a deeper level.
So let's talk about your guides. I personally found out about my spirit team, my psychic senses, and the fact that I'm an energy healer around 2020-ish. So my mom died in April of 2020 after an 18-month battle with stage 4 head and neck cancer. At the height of the shutdown, I was a furloughed employee at the restaurant I was working at. Things got crazy there for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of peanut butter whiskey and a lot of spiraling. And I really started coming out of it and learning about the traumas that we incur from childhood, and that we all have a spirit team that comes to earth with us to help us learn all of our lessons that we signed up for this time around, and that they can really help us make better choices and decisions both in our life and in our business, and that we're not here alone, and that it's not just the universe, it's not just your higher self, it's not just your dead loved ones and your longtime ancestors. Like there's a lot that goes into it. So when it comes to really navigating that healing spiritual journey with your guides, how do you like to stay connected with them and use them in your everyday life as it needs?
Ooh, so one of my main practices, not every day, because I can't go every day. I go to float tanks once a week. So think the Stranger Things sensory deprivation float tank like 11 does. And it's not like a pod or anything. So it's not very claustrophobic. But when you are floating in the sensory deprivation, there have been studies done that your brain gets into theta state very easily when you are in floats. And so that's actually primarily where I do my own personal shamanic journeying to speak to my guides. And then from there, I have a little altar with my deity statues. I like to connect with them, maybe not on a daily basis, since I do have ADHD and priorities and everything. But I find that one of my guides, the Morrigan, she really loves it when I write. And she also loves it when I go to the gym. The gym is kind of an active devotional for her, since she is kind of a warrior goddess. The gym kind of feels like my war zone, both in my business and, being a woman in the gym who's strong.
Yeah.
And then I also have Hecate. And of course, Aphrodite has come in recently, bringing in a lot more self-love work for me as well.
Yeah. So I have never personally worked with deities, but I have done a lot of research into deities because my special interest is research. So if I like a subject, I'm like, all right, well, let me learn everything that there is to learn about it. And it's so interesting to me that you can have essentially free agents on your spirit team, right? So free agents on my spirit team, and the way I describe it to other people is, like your passed away family members and friends. So like people that you knew in this life that are no longer with us here in the physical. So you can call on them whenever you need it, right? So like my dead mom, I can call on her when I need her help. We have a lot of trauma that we're working through together. So like I would say when I'm trying to over tweeze my eyebrows again or something, I would call on her to talk some sense into me. And then you have like the deities, right? So first and foremost, if you feel the pull to work with a deity, whether it's Aphrodite, Freya, Hecate, anything like that, know that you're feeling that for a reason, right? So I see that so often in beginner witches, especially when they're like, how do I know I can work with a deity? And I'm like, if you're thinking about a deity and you're doing research on a deity, that's the green light. Let's go ahead and go forward with it, right? And then having that place like your altar to center yourself and remind yourself, like my altar is in the middle of my dresser and it doesn't get a lot of active work, but it sure as shit reminds me every time I walk through my bedroom, you're a witch, bitch. Don't let any of this bother you. So when it comes to being a life coach and a fitness coach and a witch at the same time, what are some of the mindset shifts that you have had to make to be successful running your own business?
I have had to do a lot of really trauma work from that late ADHD diagnosis around feeling like I am good enough and feeling like I
Yeah.
am worthy. Because
Yeah.
I grew up in the suburbs of Texas, a very very Christian area. And so I was terrified to be myself in any shape or form, especially when it came to witchcraft. And so I couldn't even walk into a crystal shop that was well lit, beautiful, nothing dark or scary looking in it at all without fear, because that was how scared I was of my own authentic self. And so I have had to do a lot of work around really believing in myself and believing that who I am and who my authentic self is worthy and is a gift to the world. And that has, I think, been really hard. And one of the things that has helped me is realizing that when you start unmasking and start releasing the people pleasing, that it will be scary. And the fear is almost like a sign that you're moving in the right direction. And you just kind of keep moving
Yeah.
with it and keep taking those scary steps, because the wrong people will fall away. And I lost a good 200 Instagram followers, which was a significant number for me at the time when I came out as a witch. But the fitness witchcraft has brought me over 36,000 TikTok followers. So you might
Yeah.
lose some in some way, but then your right people will be attracted to you and you will feel so much more comfortable in your life when you are able to be yourself.
So I'm so glad you said that. When it comes to mindset and manifestation, because those two go hand in hand. If you are trying to manifest and you're not working on your mindset, I'm sorry to tell you, I hate to be the one, but it ain't going to work. And really getting to that point of magnetism, right? So the more you're raising your vibration, the more joy you're experiencing, the more fun you're having, the more ease you're inviting into your life, the easier it's going to be to naturally align with higher vibe people and higher vibe concepts and ideas and projects. And you won't even have to worry about relationships falling apart or anything like that, because you're naturally just going to grow apart, right? So when I was still working at the terrible restaurant that will not be named, and I was learning about my crystals and I was building my business and doing all that, I remember having like certain crystals on me at all time, like my black obsidian and a few others. And I remember like sitting in one like POS area in the restaurant and watching a really big gossiper that I worked with. And I remember watching them and another POS area gossiping, yucking it up with somebody else that worked there. And I remember being like consciously in my brain saying, I do not want them to talk to me today. I do not want them around me. They're going to, I just don't even like their energy. And they left that PO. And if you don't work in a restaurant or never have, that's like the computer area where the servers stand around when they're not taking care of your fifth diet Dr. Pepper or Diet Coke refill, whatever it is. Anyways, and I remember being like, I really don't want them to come over here with that bullshit. And they walked and they looked at me and they just went, "Mm." And like that little look on their face, like, no, I don't want that. And they walked past me and I was like, thank you, so my spirit guides. Thank you so much. If it's that easy, I will stay on this fucking level forever. So it brings me to my next question. Entrepreneurship is going to prove who's really your friend and who's not your friend. And if I had learned one thing that I really wish somebody would have told me ahead of time, it would have been that your friends who you thought were always going to be around, you're no longer going to talk to, and your clients are going to become your friends. Is that something you found true? And what can you add to that sentiment of like, damn, I really wish somebody would have told me this?
Yes, it is unfortunately heartbreakingly true. That is kind of one of the traumas that I have. I've had a lot of abusive friendships and abusive relationships in my past with narcissists and everything. And I find that as a female entrepreneur, especially, and someone who is neurodivergent, and also being a fitness coach. So in the fitness space that is so dominated by the toxic male energy, and being someone who talks about emotional regulation and woo things in the gym, that a lot of people look down on me. And it's been hard to realize, because I went into the gym, especially after the abusive relationship, like, okay, I am ready to make friends and not be isolated anymore. And I tried really, really hard to be friends with the other entrepreneurs in this gym, and was really not receiving any reciprocal energy back. And so I've had to like take a step back to realize, like, okay, I want these people to support me, but they aren't right now the people who can support me, because they're very focused on themselves. They're very focused on maintaining their perfect Instagram image.
Yep.
And so right now, it really does kind of feel like my clients are the only ones who get me. My own podcast listeners are the only ones who really know my full story and get like the full me, because there's not too many people that I know in person who are able to have a conversation, even just like this with me on this level.
Yeah, absolutely. I use this as a mantra all the time is I am not going to explain myself to anybody who's committed to misunderstanding me. And
And when,
vivid hair around those toxic masculinity dudes, that registers as, like a poisonous tree frog. So if you want to go to the gym and get left alone by the men, dye your hair a vivid color.
yeah, I think
Not for
one of the
nothing.
things that has helped me the most on my entrepreneurial journey with these friendship things is that, I mean, if you want to make it big in the entrepreneur world, you can't fit in, because one of the things, the stats that really gets me is that I think it's only 0.2% of female entrepreneurs ever make it to seven figures. And I'm
Yeah.
not there yet, but I'm like, dang, if I want that to be me, then I'm not going to fit in when I reach that goal. And so I don't want to be the person who fits in. And so I used to have this like, limiting belief, lifelong belief, especially being neurodivergent, that I don't belong, I don't fit in. And now I've chosen to view that as a good thing, because I don't want to belong and I don't
Yeah.
want to fit in, because I want to change the fitness industry.
Oh my God, I love that. And okay, so the other day I made a TikTok, I think it was just a TikTok story about, so when you find your flock, right? When you
Yeah.
find the people that accept you for who you are and you don't have to explain yourself anymore and you can really like let your walls down and actually work on those traumas that you have, that you've endured with people that are there to help you. So that's what I found at the Neurospicy Academy. I'm second in command. I've started it with Christina. We're in love with the whole thing. Love it so much. If you're a neurodivergent entrepreneur, you got to check it out. But that TikTok that's going around that says, you know how you can tell who has ADHD around you? You make a weird sound and whoever repeats it, hey, there you go, right? Yesterday, 2 days ago, I can't remember because time's not real. I was at the Neurospicy Academy. It's a virtual campus, so we can all sit together in a cafeteria if we want to. You can go sit by yourself and just being able to body double because you know other people around. It's up to you. But I'm sitting there with two other girls, Christina and Yari, and one of them goes, Yari goes, hey. And we're like, what? What is it? And she goes, what song is it? What's the song called? It goes, dun, 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 dun. And she started singing it. And me and Christina we got like, we're like, hold on. And we're like, within 5 seconds, we had the name of the song. We had who sang it. We're all sitting here like, oh yeah, that song they used to play at the roller rink, at the skating rink all the time. Da, 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 blah, 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 right? And I remember in that very moment, I was just like, these are my people. These are my people where we can just have the most random conversation. And now I'm going to have a different earworm in my head than I've had in my head for the past however long amount of time. And I'm going to be singing that song from the skating rink for the next 24 hours. But like to find people that get you it's going to be a very small group of people, but it's going to fill your heart up so much more than when you had that big group of friends.
Yeah.
Because people suck.
Yes. And that is part of what has made TikTok so incredible for me, because I don't know many witches. And I don't know many women who lift, who are also spiritual and woo, and who are interested in mindset work instead of just trying to fit into the Instagram fitness space that's very picture perfect.
Yeah. God. I saw somebody recently on my FYP post a before and after of like her bloating at the gym. And as a person who deals with a lot of hormonal issues, I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, and premenstrual dysphoric disorder on top of all my other alphabet soup. And right now I'm very premenstrual. My period's coming any second now, and it has been for the past couple days. So I love everybody that's in my life and has put up with me to this point. But really giving a real like show on your social media of like, this is what actually happens when you work out really hard. Everything is swollen because all your water is on all of your muscles and whatnot. And this is totally normal, right? So like, how do you like to portray the normalcy and the keeping expectations when it comes to your social media?
Ooh, one of the favorite things that I do, and now you've reminded me that I need to do it again soon, is that I do have abs, right? And so a lot of
Yeah.
women pretend, or not pretend, they think that that means that I have a completely flat stomach. But even when you have abs, you don't have a flat stomach, because you still
Yeah.
have your uterus. And if you stand relaxed, then your belly's still going to stick out. And so I like showing, I think it's very important. Not that I necessarily like doing it, because there's all that's still that don't show your bad side view on social
Uh-huh.
media. But I think it's really important for women to see that, because when I was starting out on my fitness journey and I saw an influencer who I looked up to where she was standing with her phone, belly completely relaxed, like just looking down at her phone, I was like, oh my gosh, her belly looks like that. And so
Yeah.
it's really important to see the normalcy, even with someone who has like extraordinary fitness results.
Hold on, my dog's got locked outside.
This is what editing
No.
was for.
Or but you're so right. People,
Yeah. Ooh, I have one more thing to add on to that too.
thank you for bearing with me. Ay, 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 ay.
Of course.
I have to be home alone to build. Somebody else is on the Wi-Fi. But then when I'm alone, I'm the only one to say, help. Soon. Oh, I'm on a delay. It was like being a vampire. I sat down. I wasn't there yet. Oh my God. Okay. First, that was terrifying. Okay. Now I know what it would be like. So let's get back into witchy talk. Okay. All right. So carry the one. All right. We're just going to pick up like we left off.
Yeah.
Balancing the creative and strategic sides of entrepreneurship is a challenge, especially for us neurodivergent people, right? So how do you really find the sweet spot when juggling the strategic, boring stuff that we have to do and the magical, fun, creative stuff?
I think for me, what's really most important is tuning into my body. If anyone here knows human design at all, I am a generator. And so I'm not supposed to be making decisions solely from my head. And when I am in my headspace and I've got that anxiety saying, do more, you're not doing enough, etc., I end up missing and the needle movers in my business, because I'm like content, because that's fun. And so I really have to slow down. And even if it's just standing outside on my balcony and taking like 7 deep breaths to connect to myself and connect to my body, usually I'll get a like, oh, I remember I'm supposed to do this long email list task that I don't necessarily want to do, but that is going to be what moves the needle forward and not the quick content creation. And so slowing down, I have a tool that I think might be really useful for ADHDers. Is I have a whiteboard that I call the done board. And so instead of making a to-do list, which always is way too long when you're an ADHDer because you think that you always have so much extra time during the day.
Yeah.
I like to
Yeah.
write down the tasks that I do get done, because then it makes me feel really accomplished at the end of the day to see like, oh, wow, I did do a lot, instead of, oh, I didn't get everything done.
Yeah. I suffer from 5-minute syndrome. I think everything's just going to take 5 minutes. I think cleaning my car is going to take 5 minutes. I think writing an email is going to take 5 minutes. I think launching a new venture is going to take 5 minutes. And sometimes it comes in handy. Other times it doesn't. It really comes in handy when your family members or your friends know that you think everything is only going to take 5 minutes. So you say, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And they know that means probably 25 or 30. But when it comes to time management, that's as much French as I know I want you to know. And I know that. I took Spanish. I'm from Southwest Florida, and Spanish it's much more beneficial than French. But I do have a lot of Canadian clients, but they're not French Canadian. They're just Canadian. I don't know what that is. Anyways, so when it comes to time management, right, between content creation and calls with your clients and having a social life and all of that, I rely on phone alarms. I have so many alarms set in my phone. And I live the Magic Mojo lifestyle. So it's a combination of low toxicity, low demand, and then all this other sort of more holistic, natural stuff, because I don't want to take medication for my ADHD because it totally blocks my creative flow. And I'm like, do I want to have a spotless house and no originality in my brain? Or do I want to figure out how to keep my house clean and still have some fun and whatnot? I have found, again, alarms in my phone, and then flexibility into my agenda, right? So like, I don't go to the gym to work out, but I like to start moving my body between 3 and 6 p.m. What do you recommend to your clients when it comes to finding time for everything and not burning out?
Ooh, okay. So personally, time management wise, I like to use Google Calendar, because then it'll send me notifications before so I don't miss things.
Mhm.
But then for my clients, one of the things that I like to promote, like you were kind of talking about with manifestation earlier, it's that so many people on their fitness journey say like, I'll feel confident but it's just like when you're trying to manifest more money. No, you need to feel that feeling now. And so when it comes to going to the gym, if they're feeling a lot of dread and they don't want to go, One, I have a lot of unshaming tools to actually dive into, okay, why don't you want to go to the gym? Is that some inner child thing? Do you think you're going to get bullied? And like diving into that. But then also having them do fulfillment rituals before they do something that they don't want to do. So maybe it's a pre workout meditation in their car. Maybe it's doing something they enjoy before they do the task of going to the gym so that they feel good, so that they feel confident, so that they feel excited instead of dreading their workout. Because if you go into a workout dreading it, it's not going to be as good of a workout and it's going to feel like a chore and potentially even a punishment for your body when it should be almost a ritual and celebration of the you that you are becoming, like a transformation ritual if we want to make it witchy. So doing things like even just a 3-minute dance party to their favorite song
Yeah.
to get that fulfillment going before they have to do a task that they don't necessarily like to do. And that's something that helps me in my business as well, especially with ADHD, following the dopamine, doing something I like before the dishes.
My way to get the dishes done is to require the other people in the house to do it because I'm not doing any fucking dishes anymore. God damn, I hate it. You know what I found it out too? Okay, so for sensory support, I am a high sensory needs baby. That's what I call myself. So I may not be by traditional standards high support needs, and I am also very high masking, which is how a lot of us go under the radar for so long as neurodivergence, ADHD, and autism, especially. So anything that requires wet hands, wet paws, or wet right here on your wrist, like where your long sleeve would be hitting your wrist. And I
Mhm.
think it has to do with like childhood stuff. I absolutely cannot stand, like, remember when your hoodie would get wet right there and you just felt it all day and you're like, ah. I also don't wear any shirts that have sleeves on them. The only time you'll
Yes,
see me in sleeves is a jacket.
me too. I
That's a
absolutely
sensory
hate
thing.
sleeves. Yeah.
They're the worst, right? They are
Mhm.
absolutely the worst. And I think it has a lot to do with like my build. I have pretty big shoulders. I have big arms, not so much a big chest anymore. Well, there was this small period of time like breastfeeding that they were just fantastic. But it's like if you are not, if the shirts always bunch up and the shirts always restrict you, stop wearing shirts like that, right? So,
Yeah.
in your journey of figuring out your neurodivergence and accommodating it, what sort of sensory shit throws you for a loop?
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited that I can speak about this on your podcast because gym sensory sensitivities are such a thing. And I just super forget. And so for me, artificial lighting, I can't do it. But unfortunately, a lot of gyms have them. If the gym has low ceilings, I'll feel cramped. Obviously, if it's crowded, if there's no windows, that throws me off as well. The temperature is a big one, how loud the music is. There was one time I was going to a very popular social media gym in Houston, Texas, that the music was so loud that I couldn't even hear my own music. And it was so hot and my pants were tight and it threw me into an anxiety attack. And I ended up running out of the gym and then got called lazy by my toxic male masculine coach. But the gym that I have now, I am absolutely obsessed with it sensory wise because it's a garage gym. They have open doors, it's very spacious. They even have a little room in the back. And so that's a room that I get to go to if I'm feeling overstimulated or if I need to cry or have a moment. I can just go shut myself in the room and be alone for a moment. And so, for anyone out there who doesn't like going to the gyms for that reason, shop around. I think I'm not a big fan of commercial gyms because of the lighting and there's always different people going in and out. And so I really like smaller, locally owned gyms because then you get to see familiar faces every day, even if you're not trying to make friends. And then usually that's where you get gyms that might be really unique, where they have open doors, where I
Yeah.
am allowed to bring my dog to the gym, which is an emotional support dog, was really key for me after I got out of my abusive relationship and was terrified of people. So
Yeah.
sensory in the gym is huge.
Absolutely. The gym that I used to go to here in Jacksonville was all indoors, all air conditioned. You know, it's like this big square, but like, you know, there's a functional room over here. There's a ladies only room over here. There's a group fitness room. There's a spin room. I will say the only thing I miss about that gym is the spin classes and like the dance classes. But I did not want to be out on the regular floor by myself lifting weights with all the people out there that are on the floor lifting weights. Because again, and this is something that my family really struggles with, me trying to explain it properly. My need to not be perceived, right? Like not be
Mhm.
perceived against my will. So I have teenage kids, I have a husband. When they're all home on a Saturday and Sunday and I'm sitting here in my open office because we're in a 1,300 square foot house, I know people can hear me. I know people can see me. I know people can listen to the conversations I'm having with the people at the Neurospicy Academy or anything like that. And it's just so nice to not be perceived. And you just don't get that in most gyms. So I know as neurodivergent people, we do tend to be turned off to those more traditional, more corporate type gyms. Whereas, like you said, a gym that's like somebody's like a outdoor area, like a garage, absolutely. Get those big fans on. Let me put my headphones on. Let's go to town. Leave me alone. Let me do some shit, you know?
Yeah. And I want to say for anyone listening on here, if you are anxious going to the gym, there's a big stereotype in the fitness community where it's like, just suck it up. People aren't looking at you, etc. And that I think really invalidates the neurodivergent experience. And so if you are on my team, we are not invalidating your gym anxiety. We can do home workouts if you want. We can talk through it because whatever anxiety you have, it is there for a reason. It is your body telling you in some way, shape, or form that you are not safe. So we go with it.
Yeah. We will not invalidate you here. We will just deep dive to try and figure out where it came from and how we can fix it. That is so good. Now, I talk about self-care all the time. Self-care is not a fucking facial and a pedicure, all right? Self-care is the concept that you are the only person on this planet that is in charge of your well-being. I am not, my husband's not responsible for my happiness and my success. My children are not responsible for my happiness and success. I am responsible for making sure that I am good, that I am happy, that I feel great, that I protect my boundaries and I protect my peace. And we know that running a business can be stressful and requires high levels of self-care. So what are some of the self-care practices that help you stay moving forward instead of, like panicked and what the fuck did I do by starting this business?
Okay, one of the things that I've had to implement for myself, which was very difficult, is really strict boundaries of when I stop working each night. Because otherwise, with ADHD hyperfocus, I can work till 10 o'clock at night and then immediately go to bed and feel awful and sleep awful and wake up feeling awful again. And so I've got a strict 7:30 p.m. cutoff time. It adjusts and it change it, but then also making small moments throughout the day to emotionally regulate if I'm feeling anxious and not to just keep going with that anxiety. So one of the things that I've started to integrate this week is going out to my apartment's pool, sticking my feet in the water to kind of ground myself and work with the energy of water a bit. Even if it's just for like 5 minutes and like breathing, I get this sense of calm and this focus that comes over me that then like trickles out for hours into my business so that I can have a calm evening, so that I can actually focus on reading a book instead of thinking, oh my gosh, should I forget to do this? I need to write this idea down. Especially with ADHD, I've really had to continuously reflect and refine on what works for me.
Yep. And it continues to grow and it continues to change, and being flexible is so incredibly important. I have a flexible yet rigid bedtime. I don't say routine because I think routines are boring, but like ritual that I have to follow because my brain needs a small amount of stimulation to be able to fall asleep. I need like the ritual of making a sleepy time tea to get ready to fall asleep. Tell my husband, hey, I'm going horizontal now. Like sometimes I just need to lay down and you guys can still come and talk to me and hang out, but sometimes I need to lay down and have everybody leave me the fuck alone. So really having that like powered down moment where my brain goes, okay, we're not working anymore. We're not going to think of any more ideas. We're not going to think about any of our clubs. We're really just going to go to Sleepy Town. Thank you very much. Has been so beneficial. And I wish that I was not a toddler that needed to like shift gears into all of this stuff. But that's what works for me, right? So like, okay, Mel, like I say this in my head, okay, Mel, we're not going to work anymore. We're going to turn the computer off. We're going to turn the lights off. We're going to go put our jammies on and all that. I really have to talk myself through all of it, or I will catch myself rushing. I will catch myself being really hard and critical on myself. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that. You can just be nice.
I love that so much. And I kind of have to do the same thing. And one of my bedtime rituals actually is acknowledging the wins that I've had for the day and what growth that I've experienced. So that way I'm not continuously thinking of all the things that I didn't do. And then I like to listen to theta wave music right before falling asleep. And sometimes I fall asleep while doing this. So you could call it a meditation if you want, but almost to put my brain into that creative state of relaxation as a bed ritual. So then I fall asleep faster. And so then my sleep is more restful as well.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Through the process of reorganizing my day, remapping my day, this is something that I teach in my Time Hackers workshop. I have found that I am an early riser. I like to wake up between 5 and 6 a.m. most days, and that I'm an early go to bedder, right? And where I had been going wrong for the majority of my adulthood was that waking up at 6 or 7, right? So I would naturally wake up around 5 or 6 and then I'd go back to sleep I would press snooze. And that really screws you over because you're going to wake up when your alarm goes off in the middle of a sleep cycle and you're going to be groggy for hours. And I would push myself to stay up later than I actually wanted to because that second and third win that you get if you push through that first time that your body's like, I'm so hurt. And if you just push through, you're going to be able to like stay awake and whatnot. So through remapping my day, I figured that if I wake up at 5 or 6 a.m., that means that I can be horizontal at 8 p.m. And that's a good thing. What have you found about like your natural energy cycles? Are you a night owl or are you an early bird?
I used to be a night owl, but one of the things I realized is that when the sun comes up, I start getting anxious if I haven't accomplished anything for the day. And so I
Huh.
started waking up at 5 a.m. about 10 months ago for my business. And I get like a majority of my written content work done in the morning before the sun even comes up. Maybe not when it's summer and there's longer daylight hours, but I really love being in the dark. I have my witchy galaxy lights on. I light my candles. I have incense going, and it feels so peaceful for me to have those few hours to myself in the morning. I also do some journaling and some self-care rituals in the morning as well, which if I woke up and it was already light outside, I would feel so much pressure to immediately start working that from the hours of about 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m., I am journaling, I am meditating, I am putting myself first. So that way, come 6:30 a.m., I can start doing content and start doing things on my business before the sun has completely come up. So that way I don't feel like I'm wasting time journaling when the sun is already up.
Yeah, I get that. I used to think that I needed to work out first thing in the morning too. Like, okay, well, I need to go on a WLK or a bike ride or something like that, at 8 o'clock once I've dropped the kids off and whatnot. And now I realize I like to move my body between 3 and 6 p.m. It just works
Yeah.
better for me. And it's going to become difficult this summer because you're in Texas, I'm in Florida. 3 to 6 p.m. is prime time thunderstorm hour. So I'm going to have to start figuring something else out. But because I'm flexible, and I'm aware of I have to make changes in my agenda every day to accommodate what my energy is, I'm not worried about it.
I love that. And that's one of the things that I've had to do as well with my workouts, because I used to work out at 10 a.m. because the gym here actually doesn't have air conditioning. And being in Texas, 10 a.m. was at least slightly cooler than 2 p.m. But I noticed that when I got home from the gym and I ate lunch, I would hit that immediate, ADHD 2 p.m. crash. And so now I go to the gym at 2 p.m. And so that crash doesn't hit me because I'm moving my body. And so we'll see if I have to, reflect and refine as it gets hotter or if I'll just deal with it. But I had to recognize that how horrible it was for my concentration and my work habits to continue sticking to that rigid 10 a.m. schedule just because I thought I had to keep doing the same exact thing over and over.
Yeah. All right. So before we get into the lightning round of ADHD questions, I'm going to have you plug your spot and tell everybody everything about where they can find you and how they can work with you.
Yes. Okay. So I am Emily. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at myogi_fit. Used to be a yoga teacher. And you can also find my podcast, Witchy Wellness with M, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any major podcast platform. And if you want to work with me, the best way to go about finding the links to everything, I have a freebie of 50 magical rituals for your fitness journey that you can find hopefully in the show notes to this and also
Yeah.
in my TikTok and Instagram bio. And you can find out all the ways to work with me there. I do answer all of my DMs. And yes, I do a blend of fitness coaching with life coaching. And what that means is that I tie my clients' fitness results to their life results. So it's not just, okay, you want to get skinny. No. How will losing weight impact your confidence and how you show up in your life, in your career, in your business? So I have clients who say they dread going to the gym because they don't like their jobs. I'm like, okay, how can we fix that? Do you want to get a new job? How can we make your job more enjoyable so that you actually enjoy going to the gym? And then with Fitness Witch Academy, it's my magical mindset course. And we do lots of witchy rituals with the purpose of subconsciously reprogramming your mind, because a lot of people try keto diet and then you try another strategy and another strategy without ever really diving into, well, actually, what subconscious programming do you have around being worthy, around being good enough? That is the real reason why you haven't been successful before. And so when we work with your brain like this, we are creating those new neural pathways for self-love, for believing that you are worthy, for believing that you can actually stick to your fitness journey this time. And so that identity first approach really helps my clients to find a deeper why for their fitness journey and learn to love it instead of viewing it as a chore or a punishment for their body.
I love that so much. Yeah. Oh, I knew you were going to be great. Okay. Are you ready for the lightning round questions? Don't overthink them. Just stream of
Okay.
consciousness. All right. Number one, what's your favorite social media platform?
Actually, Facebook. I know lots of other women entrepreneurs on there, and I find I can connect with people a lot more. So if you want to shoot me a friend request on Facebook, and you can find a lot more of like the behind the scenes, a lot more realness, a lot more storytelling over there, I would love to have you.
I deleted my Facebook off my phone. And now I don't know how to log back into it. So it's okay. But I can get to you through Instagram. So, but yeah, I will tell you, you're the first person to say Facebook, and probably you're going to be the only one in that category for a hot minute.
Probably
All right.
from
Number
TikTok.
two. Seriously, I love TikTok. All right. What is the most recent rabbit hole that you have gone down?
Ooh, I went down a human design rabbit hole yesterday because I got a new reading done from the woman who does the human design podcast. And I got her reading done for my chart. And I started reading all of these things about my design. And there were so many light bulb moments for like the things that aren't quite going quite exactly the way that I want them to in my life, that I was just like, the human design chart, it knows everything. So that was yesterday.
I love that. Okay. Number three, what is your favorite emotional support show? So what show or movie do you watch when you're not willing to take on anything new?
Ooh, I think right now it's been Vox Ex Machina on Amazon Prime. It is a Dungeons and Dragons animated show, and there's only 2 seasons of it so far, but I'm on like one of the last episodes of it.
Heard anybody say an Amazon Prime show, and not anything having to do with Dungeons and Dragons has ever been mentioned on my show. So look at us. Mine is Parks and Rec, just so that I'm a big Leslie Knope fan. Okay. The fourth question is a two-parter. Have you consumed any water today? And do you want to share your emotional support cup with the class?
Yes, I have consumed water. This is my water bottle with my unicorn stickers.
Fun.
Yes.
We love it. I knew you were going to have drink. You were going to have consumed water today because
Yes.
you're a fitness witch. But I ask everybody. All right, last question. And if this one's healthy, then it's going to all make sense. What is your current dopamine snack and or meal?
Ooh, okay. So my favorite meal when I'm like not feeling great, actually going to Chick-fil-A, because I used to work there in high school. So it is very much one of my safe foods. And right now, because it's summer and it is very hot in Texas, I will get the salad, but the one that has the fried nuggets in it, the Cobb salad. And then I get a large Coke Zero for, the dopamine. And then because I have to have a dessert and their cookies are just glorious. Yeah, I like to blend that. I want having something cold to eat during the summer.
Okay. I'm here for all of that. Absolutely. So what dressing do you get on the salad?
The light Italian dressing.
Ah, see, I would have gone ranch or blue cheese all day, but that's the difference between an eclectic witch and a fitness witch, obviously.
Yeah.
So, Emily, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today and imparting your wisdom on everybody listening. And I love you all equally and for different reasons. And we will talk soon. Okay, bye.
Thank you.